When I tell people I bought my cabin for just 25 cents, they think I'm joking. Some laugh in my face, others assume I'm exaggerating. But it's true. A single quarter, the kind you might dig out from under couch cushions or fish out of your car's cup holder, changed my life forever. It happened at a quiet county tax auction. Most of the lots on the list had bidders fighting over them, but there was one property everyone ignored, a collapsing shack by a forgotten lake. The auctioneer read the description half-heartedly. Roof caved in, walls chewed up by termites, dock splintered and sinking into the water. It was the kind of place that screamed, "Tear me down." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, nobody raising a hand. Finally, the auctioneer practically begged someone to take it off the county's books. That's when I held up a coin. Just one. The hammer came down with a sharp crack, and in that instant, for a mere quarter, the property was mine. Of course, the neighbors didn't see it that way. "You just bought yourself a pile of garbage," sneered Karen, queen of the HOA, arms crossed so tight it looked like she might snap in half. To her, the cabin was nothing more than a blight, an eyesore that should have stayed abandoned. But where she saw decay, I saw possibility. That shack wasn't just wood, nails, and peeling paint. It was land, prime land, a rare stretch of waterfront property tucked away from the chaos of town. I rolled up my sleeves, and with sweat dripping from my brow, I started bringing it back to life. I patched the roof, cleared the brush choking the yard, rebuilt the rotting dock board by board, and slowly transformed what looked like a disaster into a hidden gem. Week after week, I poured myself into that place, watching it turn from rubble into a reflection of hard work and determination. Then came the day everything changed. A developer sniffing around the area stopped at my property. He was buying up parcels along the lake, plotting out some high-end housing development. When he saw my cabin, no, my jewel, standing proud after months of restoration, he whistled low. "Sir," he said, "do you realize what you're sitting on? If this land gets rezoned, it won't just be valuable. It'll be worth millions." I laughed, thinking he was exaggerating, but then he laid out the numbers. My little 25-cent shack, the one everyone mocked me for buying, was now appraised at nearly $10 million. The news spread like wildfire. Overnight, everything shifted. The same neighbors who rolled their eyes now waved with big smiles. Developers stuffed offers under my door. Everyone suddenly wanted to be my friend. Everyone. Except the HOA. They weren't smiling. They were sharpening their knives. Karen marched down to my dock, her smugness thicker than ever. "You should know," she said, chin tilted up, "that cabin falls under HOA jurisdiction, which means, technically, it's ours." At first, I honestly thought Karen was bluffing. Surely even she wouldn't be crazy enough to try and snatch the cabin I legally bought, right? Wrong. Within a week, the HOA filed an official claim with the county insisting my cabin was abandoned common property and that my tax purchase was invalid. They even nailed a notice to my door in big bold letters, "Eviction pending." That's when I realized this wasn't a game. But what Karen and her cronies didn't count on was that I had something stronger than threats. I had proof. I pulled out the tax deed, stamped and notarized by the county clerk himself, showing beyond any doubt that I owned every inch of that land. The HOA didn't care. They doubled down with harassment. Late-night knocks on my door, anonymous letters stuffed in my mailbox, and then the cherry on top, a fake fine notice claiming I weighed $50,000 for failure to comply with HOA bylaws. They thought they could scare me into giving up. They thought wrong. That's when I called my old college buddy, a sharp property lawyer with a sound reputation for shredding HOAs in court. He looked over their so-called paperwork and burst out laughing. "This is garbage," he said. "They wouldn't last 5 minutes in front of a judge. But if you're in the mood for real payback, let's hit them where it hurts." So we dug, and what we found made my blood boil. The HOA wasn't just bullying me. They'd been bleeding the whole neighborhood dry. Homeowner fees funneled into fake consulting contracts. Bank accounts that didn't balance. Board meetings that violated state law left and right. Their entire empire was built on a foundation of lies. The next HOA meeting was war. I walked in with my tax deed in one hand and a thick folder of evidence in the other. Karen's smug smile vanished the second she saw me. "You don't belong here," she snapped. I set the folder on the table and met her glare. Actually, Karen, what doesn't belong is your fraudulent claim on my property, and while we're at it, maybe everyone here deserves to know where their fees are really going. The room went dead silent as I pulled out receipts, invoices, and bank statements. Gasps erupted, followed by shouts. Neighbors who had cowered under Karen's rule for years now turned on her in fury. This isn't about one cabin, I told them. It's about power, and you've abused it long enough. The HOA wasn't finished with me, not yet. After being humiliated and exposed, Karen tried one last desperate move, dragging me into court. Their argument? That no reasonable person would sell a cabin for 25 cents, so my deed must be invalid. I laughed when I read it, but they were dead serious, hiring lawyers and spending thousands in HOA funds to take me down. The courthouse was packed the day of the hearing. Neighbors filled the benches, curious to see the outcome. Karen strutted in like she owned the place, her lawyer throwing folders on the desk as if his were the trial of the century. I sat calm, my tax deed safely in hand. When the judge, a stern man with sharp glasses, called the case, Karen's attorney pointed at me like a criminal. "Your Honor, this is a sham. My clients demand the property be returned." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Did your clients attend the auction?" Silence. "Did they bid?" More silence. "Then why should their failure erase this man's lawful purchase?" Karen exploded, screaming, "Because he only paid a quarter." The judge slammed his gavel. "Ma'am, sit down. The fact that he bought it for a quarter doesn't make it illegal. It makes him smart. Case dismissed." The gavel echoed like thunder. Karen's face drained of color as whispers and laughter filled the room. But I wasn't done. With my lawyer, I filed complaints with the Attorney General. Investigators uncovered fraud, embezzlement, and years of corruption. The HOA collapsed, accounts frozen, lawsuits everywhere. Karen was permanently banned from any homeowners board. That evening, I sat on my dock watching the sunset ripple across my $10 million property. Neighbors cheered in the distance. I raised a glass and whispered, "All this for 25 cents. I hadn't just won land. I had won freedom. The HOA was history, and I was finally at peace.